everybody, if you are looking for a game call that is elk, turkey, deer, predator calls, waterfowl calls, we highly recommend PhillipsGameCalls.com. Professional grade game calls made for every hunter. This section of the broadcast is brought to you by Burpaw, burpaw.com.
Use Ridge15 at checkout to receive a sweet discount. Welcome back to the Ridgeline Hunting Podcast, brought to you by Phelps Game Calls, with your hosts, David Crane and David Sandana. What should I say? Pow.
All right, everybody. Yes, we are back.
It is I and he.
That's right. Crane and Sandana. That is right. We are back in the kill cave. It's been a while. We pretty much took the whole summer off.
Yeah.
And, we're back with episode 52, if you can believe that.
It's happened quick. The summertime flew by. I didn't ever intend on taking this length of a break, but it's like one thing after another, vacations and stuff. So it's kind of healthy to take that, though. I feel like as we got back in here this evening, I was like, this feels like incredible. I was like, how's this stuff work? Does my voice sound okay? And I was like, turned down, my headphones are way too loud. That intro is killing me, So it has been good. We've been super busy through the summer. Everything the kids were doing, and then now we had gone through some things. We had elk season, which we're going to touch on tonight. We had a fun trip to Dallas, Texas.
Yep, that happened just a few weeks ago. That was a blast, and we'll get into that too, just a little touch of what we did in Dallas, Texas. But shoot, even before that, I had a run-in with a cougar. Yeah,
you had mountain lion.
Yep. We'll touch just a teeny bit on that.
That's a whole episode in itself. We could talk about that for probably an hour and a half or two.
You think so?
I bet, yeah. We'll try it someday.
Yeah. We might come around back to that one, but yeah, there's been a lot that's gone on. I mean, the archery shoot, I don't even think we touched on the archery shoot at all that I went to. The Mountain Challenge? We might have.
I don't think we did. I think that was after. Northwest Mountain Challenge?
Man, it's been a long time then.
As you can see, we've been busy. Busy turned into lazy, I think, because it was just so much to do. But getting back on the saddle is important. I feel this is like a mental break too. A nice recap. We haven't done this for a whole season to where we were able to go through what we've been through already, like in the last couple months.
Yeah.
But you're talking about archery shoots in the summer.
Scouting trips, hunting trips.
Well, all those planning things. And then you have, I hate to say Devon's football, but there's football arrangements. And those things go till 8 o'clock at night, 2-a-days. That's my busiest time of year in construction. So we're working till 8, and.
Well, shoot, not even that, man. Like, you expanded your business.
Yeah, that did happen
since
too.
Then,
yeah,
there's just been a lot that has gone on this summer. Obviously, it's no excuse for us to not talk about, hunting and what we're doing, but
it's the reasons why.
We still have to pay the bills.
We'd love to entertain y'all, but we can't do it for free forever.
Exactly. So, with that, we've just been busy, so we decided, we're just gonna take a little bit of a break when we can roll back and get some time again, and it's about that time.
It is time. Overtime. This time of year is one of my favorites because we're in this little transition. Actually, it's not my favorite. Let me take that back. It's my least favorite because archery elk season just ended. And now we're getting into October. Well, it's October now. But it gets into a second favorite time of mine, which is waterfowl hunting. I've said 1,000 times on here that waterfowl's one of my favorite hunts to do because it's quick.
Yeah.
You can do it relatively easy. Doesn't take a lot of planning. No, you don't have PTO. You can do it on a weekday, weekend day. It's really good, but I'm looking forward to taking my daughters out deer hunting here in a couple weeks with rifles.
Yep. So Dave hasn't done this since I've known him. And that's hunt with his rifle during deer season.
Oh yeah, I got a rifle deer tag.
Yeah.
The freak.
So, it's not new for Dave, but he'll be hunting with his daughters, but he also has a deer tag of his own that he'll be able to use for deer season. So that is coming up in the next few weeks, week and a half. I think it's like a week and a half.
My strategy behind that was to create a different type of opportunity, because I've always hunted with my bow, and some friends of mine, they always go east, and they do, like, I even told Shannon I got a rifle deer tag, and he was like, "Oh really?" Like, everybody says that same way, same way. "Oh really?" Like, they're shocked, and they're like, "Oh," their eyebrows go up in this little peak, and now they're like, "What are we gonna do with this thing?" It's like, I have no idea.
Well, Shannon mainly hunts with a rifle.
Mm-hmm.
Rifle elk, rifle deer. That's like his thing, unless he pulls multi-season. That's the only time that he'll really go and hunt with his bow is if he pulls multi-season.
And I think he's going to Idaho this weekend for rifle elk.
Really?
He came by the other night. They grabbed some machinery for a job, and so he was telling me, "Yeah, we're going to take off at Idaho, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Oh shit,
that'd be awesome."
Yeah, should hopefully they get something. I mean, I won't say guarantee, but yeah, I know he's going to put some miles on them boots.
Oh yeah, Shannon hits it hard, man. He hits it hard. Dude's an animal.
Yeah, he'll take care of it.
He's got goat legs for sure. But yeah, man. Episode 52. What are we going to talk about? We have like so much that we can touch on. Do we want to just go with elk season?
Elk season is something I think is cliched. Like we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's spice it up a little bit. Let's do like a pre-intro into the mountain lion hunt, or the deer mountain lion encounter. Just talk to the point of when you're face to face with it looking at you.
All right, man. Here we go. We're going to dive right into it. So here in Washington State, before I even get into the hunt, we have an issue with our commission. All this stuff about predator hunting and how it's bad and all this other stuff. I'm going to tell you that we need predator hunting more than not. And I'm going to tell you why as we lead into like what's going on here. So I'm hunting with Mikey P and his brother. His brother's brand new to hunting. His name's Dave as well. So if we ever get him in here, it's going to be
D1, 2, and 3.
Davey P. So I have Mikey P, Dave, and myself, and we're going to an area where there's a lot of deer activity. It's a place where I've had a camera out. I've shot a cow elk in that area, and I've seen a lot of deer in that area. And it was probably 3 nights before we got in there. I checked a trail camera. We had a fairly nice buck out there. Nice typical 4x4 blacktail buck. Really nice buck. Not really seen them during the day, but you never know when you're walking through there. Might end up coming through.
Because you could kick him up and he could stop and look at you.
Exactly, just at 40 yards.
First shot, yep.
So my plan was we're going to get into this little gully. We're going to kind of, strategize where we're at. Hopefully the deer funnel up and through. So we get in there. We're waiting for a while. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to hit this little fawn call, see what happens. Because the year previous to that, I hit the fawn call and a bunch of does would come in.
They do, yeah.
So
come into that.
We're all about filling tags. I can care less of the antlers on an animal. I want the back straps. I want some good eating. That's what I hunt for. So I start hitting this fawn call, and then I stop, and then I let the guys know, hey, I'm going to be doing this like every 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. Just depends on how my video game's going on my phone. So I do that a few times, and then Dave texts me. And he goes, hey, man, something's eating this tree back behind me.
Oh, Dave with you, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't say that.
David Peterson.
Yeah.
And and he can't really get a good look at it. And I'm like 100 yards down the gully a little bit further, and he can't really get a good look at it. He's got pretty bad eyesight even with his binoculars. So I'm like, oh, don't worry about it, man. And it was, he said it was probably about 80 to 100 yards away because he was trying to range it, and it was picking up a couple different ranges. It was just through some brush. And I'm like, don't worry about it, man. It's probably, anything. I didn't know what it was. Come to find out it was a bear. But I start calling again, and I'm sitting down, and I'm like I'm actually in an elk bed. And I'm sitting down. There's a huge stump. As I'm sitting down, it's like way bigger than me. So I have to kind of like get up and like look over to see what I'm looking at off to my left. Now off to my right is a huge down tree, some brush, all the branches kind of like hanging down and kind of down in front. And it's probably about 18 to 22 yards. I don't know. I didn't range it. So I'm sitting there, I'm calling, I'm sitting down. And I don't know if I got this like weird spidey senses, man. Like I stand up and I'm looking over this. It's so in this gully, it's like all grass. And
so
then,
when you stood up, did you pop up or did you just kind of slowly?
No, I slowly stood up, like the knees aren't as good as they used to be. So popping up ain't that great for me.
So you're like, something's not right here. I should take a look around.
Yeah. So I
I
stood up fairly slow because I'm kind of like looking into where this grass is. So there's kind of like swamp. So you get that kind of swamp long grass. It's all kind of like laid over or whatever.
Yeah.
And as I'm slowly turning over to my right, I see this freaking cougar face looking right at me. And I'm like, oh shit. My bow's down over off to my left.
That's it. That's all you're going to get. Okay. Story's done. Okay. That's it. We'll have that episode 54, 53 or 54. We'll talk about the rest of this mountain lion encounter and what happens next. No Charmin was involved. Let's put it that way. But it was concerning.
The pants were clean.
the pants stayed clean. That's good.
Yeah.
So that's how it started.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's where then I started getting text messages and all sorts of stuff, and we did our thing. So we'll talk about that in another episode. Next was elk season. We jumped into elk season. It was like a week later. I think that was I can't remember if that was a weekend when you did that hunt or if it was a weekday.
That was
I was working, so it was a weekday.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was a Friday. That was Friday.
And then we went.
That was opening day of deer season. Opening day,
September 1st or Labor Day or something.
It was the first. It was that long weekend. Yeah.
So September 1st this year, was it the Friday, and then Labor Day was the following Monday?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, gotcha. So we started elk hunting the Saturday. The next Saturday was when we took off. We went to elk camp on Friday, and you showed up there Tuesday or Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Okay.
No, I changed my schedule. I showed up on Monday. I had to actually work that weekend.
Saturday and Sunday,
yeah. Which I haven't worked a weekend, and I couldn't tell you how long, unless I was helping Dave with a job, which I really like doing that kind of work, so it wasn't really work for me.
Yeah. It's not really, I mean, the work's nice because it's not really, doesn't really mess with you too much. It's like a task. It's kind of like, let's make this thing look pretty and nice. And then you're like, okay, now it's done. Look back, you're like, damn, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's a different type of enjoyment. It's not like from keyboard.
Oh, man. For me, my job's very stressful, but we're not going to get into that.
We're here to have a good time. We don't want to bore you guys to death and make you unsubscribe and all that shit. So,
yeah, you don't want to know what I do. It's very boring.
They're like, what'd you do? Like, listen to a podcast about how paint dries slow. Like, God dang.
Watching grass grow. But, yeah, so I ended up coming into elk camp that Monday. To be honest with you, I don't know what time I got in there. I don't even remember. But the very first day was like my best day for the whole trip.
Well, you hopped right into them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was pretty cool.
It took us a little while. I think our first day, I can't remember the day by day, but I feel like every single day from my memory, there was elk in our vicinity, and 75% of the time they were speaking. So that was kind of the difference.
It was definitely a lot better than last year. I didn't see one elk. I didn't hear one peep. That was nothing.
Last year.
This whole time for me, I didn't hear one bugle. Didn't hear any bugling at all. You weren't calling nothing in with a bugle, at least where I was at. I'm not sure if all the bulls were dead.
No, they were bugling where I was at. I think from what I've seen online after the fact was that it seemed like it was a hard hunt for a lot of people throughout the West. It seemed like that was the general consensus.
It was 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks late, or we were 2 weeks early.
Yeah, and sometimes
they really started kicking off during like muzzleloader season.
Well, they usually get heavier at the end of September, here, but usually from there's like a period of time where elk just start hammering down. They're like pre-rutting or rutting, and they're just bugling their brains out. For me, I believe it's usually around the 15th to the 22nd or 23rd where it's like really starting to pick up like really good. So those early seasons, sometimes we have one that starts like the 8th or whatever, and we'll only go to like the 18th or 19th. They roll it back. It's on a 6-year or 7-year rotation. So
this one started on, I'm not sure when it started. When did it 9th. Did it start the 9th?
I think so. I think it starts on the 8th next year.
It went fairly long. I mean, it was like
on
the
20th. It'll start on the 7th next year.
Or it might even be the 6th. I've seen it as early as the 6th. I think the first year I hunted was the 6th.
So if it does go to the 6th, and then that's the bottom of the rollback, it'll start on the 13th the year after. So that'll give us I hope it was the 6th or 7th this year, because we only got one more year before they bring it up 5 days.
And that would have been those last days, at least for this season, how it played out for this season. I think it would have been a better hunt on the last part of that, because we were pretty much there. I mean, you guys were there day one. I missed a couple days.
And I did get we were only there the first week, and I did get a call from our buddies in camp the last week, and they're like, "Man, it's on fire!"
Great.
Like click. I knew they were gonna say that. I was like, when they call and say this is how it was, I'm just hanging up. It's like I don't want to hear it. I knew it was gonna happen.
So this year we go rolling into camp, and I see who our neighbors are, and the last time we camped pretty close to each other, we were smacking bulls down. So I was just like, oh, this year it's on. It's going to be on fire. Man, I mean, to be honest, I was on elk like every other day. So, I mean, it wasn't a bad hunt. Not at all. But man, closing the distance on these elk, it's something else. It was really hard for me because I would end up in the open. It was rough. But I had a good time. I had a really good hunt. Had some opportunities. I just couldn't get close.
We went to that same spot where you had that whole herd next to you, and I was like, because I was looking at the picture you put up, and I was like, why couldn't he get a little closer to that thing? Like I understand. The funny part is when you're looking at the picture and you see an elk, you don't realize how wide that clear cut is in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Like you could have been standing on the tree line, and it still would have been 65 yards. Like there's no depth perception from the photo. You're just looking at like, oh, it looks like it's right there. But it's actually, there's a lot of depth involved.
Yeah, it was a couple hundred yards.
And there's a lot of like blowdown in between there. But it was littered with trails. Like it was,
oh man,
there's a crazy amount of trails right there.
And it wasn't just elk. I mean, those elk, when they fed away, they kind of fed up and blah, blah, blah. They disappeared. Like I didn't get a chance at them. Deer started walking through there. So I'm like trying to get after some deer too, like holy crap, I just missed this opportunity. And I'm like running around and trying to cut them off and all this stuff. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, this elk hunt just turned into a deer hunt. Going back down, blah, blah, blah. And so, I mean, I had a good time, man. It was a lot of fun. And this year I did biking again like I did last year. And I don't know if I was in like better shape or something, but I came out of there feeling great. Yeah. Like I wasn't sore. Like My chode was fine.
Well, you've just been getting it pounded more often, apparently.
Oh, heck no. I don't roll like that.
Don't say those things then.
But, well, shit, if anybody's been on a mountain bike, they know, like, that shit hurts.
Yeah, it does.
Like,
Day 3,
yeah. And
hamburger butt.
pretty much, but I was fine. I was standing up most of the time, so it wasn't nothing big. But, yeah, man, I had a good hunt. It was good, man. I just wish that I did shoot at a doe, missed,
So tell us about this
went
Viking.
low.
Tell us about your Viking experience.
Viking. What are you talking about?
Hail Mary Viking, Thor, Lord of War, all that.
What are you talking
The
about?
guy that started selling arrows over your head when you were going after those deer.
Oh, son of a gun, man. Oh, I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah, so the next morning after I went after these elk, I was like, no, I'm going to the same damn spot. I was like, I don't care if I have to sit there all day. Like, I think that they were using this, like, this goalie, and I think they were going from the reprod into this goalie, feeding, and then going into this tall timber and sleeping. That's what I thought they were doing.
And that little depression is completely invisible from anybody.
Oh,
unless you were down there.
Yeah, you have to be in there because the roads there's roads on top and on the bottom.
The
and you
ridges.
can't see into there.
It looks like you can see all the way down from the road. You're sitting there looking. You're like, oh, I can see all the way down. There's nothing there. It goes.
And then it's
it goes yeah, straight down, and then there's a bowl, and then it goes back uphill. And it from your eyesight, those two things line up, and it looks like a continual hill.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be damned,
Dude,
dude.
and it goes deep down in there too. I went down in there.
So we'll get back to the Viking in a second, but when I came in from the top, there was a trail in there as wide as this desk that was just powdered dirt
Oh yeah, moon
in
dust.
the clear cut. Yeah,
Yep.
and you're like, how they look like a cattle trail.
Mhm.
There was no, and that was the only
That was
one.
a good spot too. Man.
Yeah.
Dang it.
I would like to put a little trail cam up on that trail just to see what's going on, because that thing was
That
hammered.
reminds me,
dude.
I got a freaking camera I need to go get over in Eastern
Didn't
Washington.
we speak about this already? We were talking about it. It was like, you're like, I got to pick up a camera. I was like, well, where's it at? You're like, Eastern Washington. It's like, how much was it? How much was it?
No, it was an Amazon special. It can stay there.
Yeah, I was like, well, you're going to spend like $200 in gas going to get a $20 camera. It's like, just leave it unless you really need the photos.
I don't know. Well, we'll
I
see.
filled up the other day. It was $189.
Well, I go there every year anyway, so I'll just go there next summer when I go scouting anyway. So, but yeah. So that next day, boogered up a bunch of elk and deer and whatnot. Very next day, go there in the morning. This is that Viking thing. I'm sitting on the edge of tall timber and it's all just like ferns. And I see these deer coming up and they're on a trail that's probably going to put them top pin easy. And I was like, all right, nice. Here we go. Just going to wait them out. They're feeding down in there. They're going to come right to me. I'm sitting there. It's about 25 minutes. All of a sudden, a hunter pops up down below me. And I'm like, where the hell did this guy come from? So basically, I think he was there way earlier than I was, number one. So I was probably boogering up his hunt. But the deer start coming up, and all of a sudden I hear this like flying through the air, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? And he shot. And I was like, what the heck? And he didn't really know where I was, so I just kind of like sat down. And
How far away was he?
From the deer or from me?
Yeah, from the deer.
Dude, he had to be like 80 yards.
Hail Mary. Thor, Lord of War, Zeus's cousin, let this arrow hit where it needs to go.
And
Gotta
he
go.
had like an old PSE compound bow.
Those
Like an
guys that
old
shoot
one.
those PSEs are famous for Hail Marys, dude. I know a couple.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm just joking. I don't know any.
Well, I'm not sure about that either, but he sent that one way out of his range because he wasn't even close. I mean, he wasn't close to hitting me. All I heard was the arrow flying.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just like, what in the hell? Like, this guy wasn't even close to these things. And obviously, they blew out. Like, they were gone. They went the opposite way of where I was. Every time. Happens every time. They couldn't just run right at me.
Yeah.
No. They had to run the other way. Like, sons of bitches.
I have so many encounters like that over there where we would be remember where I missed that cow when they were bedding down? There was like 3 of them bedding down.
Oh yeah.
Well, before that, the road we took to get down there was a corner which was like old reprod and ferns. This corner would always have elk in it, so we would always sneak around to the corner, and then we would go down into there, and usually you'll see like 20 elk. And I think I killed my first elk down that same hill, but they would come up from the bottom from the creek, and they would just feed up, and that's how you would spot them, is when they'd be coming uphill. Well, one time we were going in there, and I was like, oh shit, there's 20 elk. There was 20 of them, and they're just feeding, and there's one broadside, quarter away, and you're looking, you're like, which one do I shoot at? But you're just out past 60 yards. You're like, I need to get a little closer. If I can get, and you start ranging them and range a tree, and you're like, if I get to that tree, I can get a shot. Somebody had a bright idea to come in from this side, and I see these elk, got them all ranged, found them, taking my time. I'm like, okay, they're just chilling, eating, no big deal. I see this guy, I was like, oh shit, he's gonna go for him. He looks at me, he's like, oh shit, he's gonna go for him. This freaking guy's starts runs in, like, no shit. I don't know how he did it, but as he was running, he pulled an arrow off his quiver, puts it on the string, stops in within a 0.5 of a second. Instant shot.
Got one?
No. Hell no, he didn't get one. If he'd have got one, I'd like, shoot me one. It's like Call of Duty dude that snipes you with no scope, right? He just hauled ass in and took a shot. Arrow goes, hits a tree, everything took off, blew it out, right? I was like,
the whole forest came to life.
Yeah, I mean, they were coming up, and they were everywhere.
It's like, I didn't even see those 8.
Yeah, seriously, that happens, and so that's one of those things where, I ran into that a bunch, where you'll be sitting there, and you're like, oh, this plan is going to be perfect. I can't wait. You'll picture it in your head what's about to happen. You're like, oh, dude, he's going to be, hey, guys, check this out. Oh, yeah, cool. High five. Never happens.
Yeah, so we won't get into that, but that happened to me when I had to call, when I called in the Bloodhound Sandana. Yeah, we'll get back to that one maybe next episode.
We're talking about the mountain lion deal again. Okay, so... Yeah, the Viking came into effect, and the reason we call him the Viking is because he was a big old beard, like it was like three bearded beards, and his beards had beards, and he's just a monstrous man. Yep.
And then after that, I believe he got on the phone, called his buddy or whatever, and he came flying down the road that I was just above, and my hunt was over for that day, pretty much. Because, I mean, he drove right to the guy, picked him up, and they drove out, and it was a big old diesel truck, and, I mean, it's louder than hell, and...
That was old Dodge.
Everything blew out pretty much after that, and I'm like, well, got to go to a new spot.
We had a pretty how do you say that? A pretty engaging hunt, I guess. We had a lot of moments where we figured, we're going to tag out here today. Like, something's going to happen in the next, we're right around the corner from tagging an animal. They're responding to bugles or chuckling back or bugling back. We could see them in some occasions, but we just couldn't get the gap closed. And it was 9 days of really good hunting. It was not really good harvesting.
Luke that's a whole nother thing.
Luke did get a buck. Luke got a buck. But other than that, I don't think we saw another person take an elk.
I didn't see anybody packing out anything. And I mean, I worked that whole mountain that we usually go. I worked that whole thing. I didn't see anybody packing anything out. Not even a deer, to be honest with you. Not even a deer. So Luke was one of the only people that I saw. And I didn't see much hunters, but when you get on the road, when you're biking your butt out of there, I didn't see anything in the back of anybody's trucks or, nothing like that. So, man, it was rough. It was just rough. Well, to be honest with you, I could have tagged on a deer. I don't know if I misranged something, but I shot fairly low. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was terrible.
The swamp doe.
Yeah, just a bad shot. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, well, let's take a 10-minute break, come back, and talk about the NASCAR thing. Oh, did
Wait,
Sorry.
what?
Sorry.
What
Let's
did
talk
we
about-
just do?
Let's talk about Dallas, and then we'll talk about everything else.
Yeah, perfect. All right, guys.
All
Take
right.
a quick break. We're back from our little break. Refresher on the beers. As you can see, these are
How's
not
it?
Bud Lights.
Oh, I was going to say, you're veering away from your traditional drink.
Yeah, right. Hate Bud Light. I don't even like Coors. But yeah, so basically after the elk and deer season, I had an opportunity. Actually, well, Dave had the opportunity and he invited me, which I'm very grateful for. We went to Dallas, Texas to an all expenses paid trip to go watch NASCAR.
Yeah, that was crazy.
You don't get any more American than that.
That was my first NASCAR experience.
It was my second, but my first experience like this. Because, I mean, I'll have Dave explain it. It was unreal. It was absolutely unreal. I had such a great time.
The whole plan was to go down to Dallas. Well, this was presented to me. They're like, "Hey, you want to come with us to NASCAR?" I was like, "Okay, cool." I didn't, they had their own NASCAR team, so they sponsor a team, and you met the driver and everything like that.
Yeah.
So I won't say the company name just because, but they sent an email. Hey, if you got time this day, we're gonna go. We'll set you up with the Airbnb. We have, how many people were there? 6 of us all together in our group.
Yeah, it
And
wasn't
then
very.
there was a second group, and they were from somewhere else. But the 6 of us that stayed in the Airbnb, and then they flew us down to Dallas Fort Worth Airport.
Mm-hmm.
Took us to the Airbnb. Took us to their factory. Went to Dallas Motor Speedway. VIP passes. VIP booth. Pit passes. Crew passes. Sign meet and greet with the driver. Like dinner. There's a lunch
There was, we had the lunch and there was dinner served
in the suites.
in the suites. So we had lunch like with the crew.
Yeah.
Like the pit guys were there. Like,
Like
the
Denny
drivers
Hamlin.
were
there
there.
goes Denny Hamlin, like next to you,
yeah, like it was unreal. Like we got a tour of
The haulers.
the haulers. So basically where the crew will get dressed and get ready, where they have the extra car,
Extra parts. Yeah.
yeah, all everything.
Everything they need to bring to the races in these things.
Yep.
So we got to do that. Of course, everything's air conditioned except for the raceway. The raceway was hotter than Hades, man. I was burning up. Dave almost died. It was hot.
It was hot. I like the heat. I really do. But that at a certain point, because I was like,
In the sunshine.
We
you
were
in the
we
sun.
were in the booth where
Above the pit crew on the track on pit row. We were right on the pit.
yeah. So like where the team is being ran, we were there. We saw all the screens. We saw the temps of the car. We saw the temp of the driver, which is insane. All these different
We had
computed-
headphones on like this, listening to them talk too.
yeah. So
That was a trip.
that I actually love that. But where I was sitting, everybody else is kind of like sitting this way, and I'm in the only corner of this thing that is just in the direct sunlight.
So the
like,
sun's coming this way. You're sitting there looking at the track.
yep,
Then you had 3 more people to your left, which should have been
to my right.
yeah,
we're
I guess
sitting
my
just
left.
yeah. We would've been-
I'm the track. You're
Yeah.
sitting in your seat.
yeah, and everybody's this way. I'm in the direct sunlight, and I was doing pretty good with keeping up with the fluids and everything. And at one point, I almost turned and puked all over the crew.
That'd have been gnarly, man.
It was
That'd have
close.
been, that'd have been bad.
It was close, but like someone came in there, the next group came in to kind of like tag us out, and I was like, "Oh, thank God!"
yeah.
So we get down, we're underneath these umbrellas, which were still right behind the pit crew, and
10 feet.
But here's the kicker: the car right to the right of our driver and our crew crashed out in the first freaking lap. So their team packed up and left. So we're underneath all these umbrellas, and I was like, I'm just gonna go closer to the track. So I walk like right up to the pit line, like where everybody, like where the whole crew and everybody's sitting on like these concrete barriers. I'm right there filming cars going by. It was
Because they
I was
packed up
on
their
the track.
They packed up their whole. It's like a rolling tool chest. They pack everything up, roll it out of there. They were mad too. They were super pissed.
Well, they were shooting for that top 15.
Yeah.
Like they're like a mid pack car, but they're feeling really good. Our driver hated that track, so I asked him. I was like, "Well, hey, how do you feel about this track? Like, where do you want to be?" Obviously, like, well, I want to run up front, which
Yeah.
everybody wants to run up front. But I was like, okay, well, realistically, where do you want to end up at the end of the race? And he was like, it'd be nice, number one, to finish and be on the lead lap. That was like his like main goals because he hates this track. So when he said that, that's kind of like when I was like, do you like this track? And he was like, hell no, I hate this track. And I was like, this dude's cool.
Yeah. He said once they resurfaced it, it was pretty brutal.
Yep. They said once they redid the track, he didn't like it. And I could see why, because there was a lot of people spinning out and smashing into one section, really.
Same corner every time, and it was uninitiated spinouts.
Yep.
Even when our driver spun out in that corner and he hit his quarter panel and his bumper, his trunk got
back
messed
right
up,
side, yeah.
and he's like, "Man, I wasn't even on it or nothing." Just going in the corner through the headphones, like it just lost it. And then who was the leader? Bubba Wallace was leading.
Yeah, he was leading.
And then I think it was someone from Hendrick Motorsports was in second or third. And the guy in first was from Hendricks. Wallace was behind him in second. And then they come around that corner. Hendrick's lead car spins out. 360 crushed, cars totaled.
Yeah,
They
demolished.
go under caution with three laps to go. And then that Hendricks driver in third. I can't
Ends up
remember his name
pulling-
for some reason, but
pulling out
on the restart.
45.
Yeah, on the restart.
Jordan, he was a Jordan. That's a Jordan car.
Yeah, let's
Jordan,
check it out.
Jordan is one of the main sponsors of that team. Hendricks they own it. It was number 45. He ended up winning that race.
Tyler Reddick.
Yeah, Riddick. Yep.
Okay. So Tyler Reddick, I think from my recollection, when he went and took on the restart, there's like
Well,
two
dude, this
laps
guy
to go.
came out of freaking nowhere. He came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like the whole race, you never heard him at all, and all of a sudden he's leading the race. Like, where the heck did this guy come from?
Here's my rendition of what happened to my best of recollection. 2 laps ago. Side by side, Wallace and Riddick. Restarting the race. Riddick takes the lead. Holds Wallace off 2 laps. Beam checker flag. Race is over. They go to interviews. Here's Tyler Riddick. Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm the best restarter in this game. If you want someone to win your race on the second to last lap, we've got to restart. Get me in there. I'm the guy. I can beat everybody off that line. I guarantee every single time. Watch this. Woo! That's what I heard. I'm like, that was pretty good. I was like, no one can hold a candle to me. I got this shit every time. Put me on the restart line. I'm gonna kill him. Like that's what it was. It was like, and then Bubba Wallace, he's like, yeah, he's like, the Toyotas, they're just not the best restarters, and if there's a restart, then if you're in a Toyota, you're probably not going to be in the lead. Like that was the two, I guess the variation between the two drivers. And I'm no NASCAR analysis, but I would talk shit too if I won.
It was awesome.
Yeah, I was like,
a lot of fun.
Man, he smoked him. But Wallace, he led like 160 something laps. It was a high number.
Yeah, he was in the lead dang near off the start of the race.
Well, he was the first position on pole.
Yeah, but I'm saying like he led like a lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
It might have been 180 something laps.
I'm not sure. It seemed like he was just going to really walk away with the race. And then restart. I think there's more than 3 laps, but I don't know because
it might have been 5, but it wasn't much.
Dude, there was like carnage. Like the last 20 laps, it was just straight carnage.
When we went under the tunnel,
flying all over the place.
Literally, we went from the infield. We were like, oh, it's 100 degrees. Let's go. It's been 100 degrees for 7 hours on us. Let's go to the suites at the last 2 hours, cool down, have some of that good food they have up there. And there's a tunnel that goes under the track. We went all the way down to the end of pit row, went under the tunnel, got to the other side of the tunnel. We basically walked under a 4-lane freeway. Got to the other side, and we got there, and there's like ambulances and fire trucks. Like,
yeah,
like what happened?
The hell happened?
And there's 4 or 5 cars like wrecked, completely wrecked.
Yeah, demolished.
And we didn't even get to see it. We left right. We would have had front row seats on that one.
When I went down to the actual like track, pretty much, I'm videoing these cars, and then I turn around, I'm like walking back, and all of a sudden there's a spin out, like right where I was filming. Just I was like, shit, I just missed that. That would have been cool.
That was the all-time experience. It's almost like when you go to see an air show, you're for the first time, you're like, wow, and they're so fast and loud, and you're like, oh my God. And you get to see them do crazy things. This is that on land, and they're going super fast, really close to you, 30 of them in a row. When you're standing there, I got the video of you and Nick. You guys are like, oh man, badass, high five, and just crazy. I mean, it's really a good thing.
I would say, if you're not a NASCAR fan, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you ever have a chance to actually go to a NASCAR race, do it, because that might turn you into a fan.
For sure. I can't imagine going and seeing like, nah, this just is no fun. You're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're going to, even if you don't like racing, you'll go there, you'll have a good time watching because it's high entertainment value and it happens quick.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a blast. Dallas was hotter than hell.
It was. It's super hot.
But you know what? I wouldn't trade that for anything because it was a lot of fun.
Could have been rainy and cold. That would have been shitty too,
Yeah, that would have been. That's probably why they don't race here.
Yeah. It'd been bad for you. You freaking hate cold.
Yeah, my bone's locked.
My bone's locked up. Man. Why is he doing the scarecrow?
The heat helped me out a lot.
Yeah, it was
nice.
It was a crazy temperature. It was 141 degrees in the cars when they started the race.
On the track, I want to say one of the temps was like 112, and we're like right above that.
Yeah.
So like the temperature outside was about 100, 98 to 100, but we're right around that 112 area where we were sitting. But I mean,
not like Florida. If it's 112 in Florida, you need more than water by the end of the day. You need you need the IV fluid instantly because that shit. That's the one thing I did appreciate was that it wasn't super humid.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
You could feel it in
Arizona. It wasn't Arizona heat, but I would say it was in between Arizona and Florida. So there was like a little bit of humidity, but not to where like right when you step outside, you're just drenched with sweat.
It wasn't even Austin humidity. In Austin,
Austin has quite a bit of
way
humidity.
more humid than Dallas, from my experience.
Houston.
Well, Houston and Austin, I think, are just Houston's east of Austin. I think.
Yeah, it's right on the Gulf.
Yeah, I'm sure it's
like
humid.
maybe
I'm
like
sure it's
20
just like Florida.
minutes or something.
Sure, it's just freaking 100% humidity. But that Dallas Fort Worth area was super hot enough to where you were sweating, but not hot enough to where you couldn't stand it. And
Yeah, that was the nice part, because if you're just hanging out chilling, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I mean, there's people out there tailgating all day, like in the parking lot, big ass gravel parking lot.
Well, I guarantee if we were there for a year,
Yeah,
it would have been nothing.
just like another day.
You know, acclimated to it. You know, like we don't have days like that.
Yeah, it was like
here in
45 or
Washington.
50 when we left here. It was not hot.
Yeah, we're stripping down. Like Dave's already in shorts, and I'm like, oh man, it ain't gonna be that bad. You know, we get off the plane, I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah, I show up to I dress for the weather where it's where I'm going usually, because I'm like,
See, I can't get.
because I usually am going
I
to
can't
Florida.
Get cold.
No, I'm usually going to Florida, so I'm always
Yeah.
either I'm going to Florida or I'm going to Mexico. There's nowhere else I really go. I don't go. I mean, I don't go anywhere else. Maybe California every now and then, but if I'm going, either I'm going to Florida or I'm going over to vacation in the Yucatan. 99.9% of the time it's Florida, but it's still super, super hot, super humid. So I dress in shorts on my way, because I know as soon as I get off that plane, it's going to be baby powder city. You know,
Yep.
give it to seriously, going to be, you need them, you know? So, yeah, that's why I do that.
So that was like a part of our busyness. So I mean, like
Planning and
we've just had a
preparation for
whole
that.
lot of just a lot going on this summer. So we missed you guys. We definitely like it when you watch and give a thumbs up, or just listen. If you're listening on a podcast, if you're not watching on YouTube,
Take a look on YouTube.
yeah, if you have the time, I mean, you could actually just listen to it on YouTube as well. You don't have to watch the video. So if you don't want to watch it, you can just listen to it. But yeah, we actually still have a giveaway out there.
Yeah, we still
If
have
we
the
hit-
compound bow.
Yep, if we hit 1,000 subscribers, we're still pretty far away with only a few months to go. So if we don't hit it, we don't know if we're going to be giving away a bow or not. We're not quite sure. But yes, hit the subscribe button.
We'll see what we can do.
Yep. But yeah, go ahead.
This call, the Unleash V2, this is the new one from Phelps. This is a really great call. Now, I have a go-to I always bring with me all the time. And I probably called, I've upgraded since then, but I've called a lot of elk with that call. And I left it at home after I used this call this year. And every single day we were in elk bugling back to us. Earlier I said we had them around. We had them calling. A lot of times they'd be bugling or chuckling back. I don't know why we weren't able to close it, but the consensus was that it was hard. It was a hard year.
That was just a hard year, man.
Yeah.
But we're in elk.
They were
Like,
talking.
what else do you want? Yeah,
It was
obviously we
an
want to fill a
incredible-
tag.
it was
We
an
want to fill a
incredible-
tag, but
Well, we
it
still
was-
got the late season, and we're looking forward to that now. But it was an incredible call. This call works very well. It projects sound very well. It's super ergonomic as far as the mouthpiece goes. A lot of people have made comments on the mouthpiece before, but I'm one of those people that I have to feel comfortable with it. If it's a little weird thing, I won't use it. It just feels right, from the way it sounds to how there's bigger calls than this.
oh
But I like the size of this call.
yeah. So I have the original as well. So I upgraded to this one as well this year, but I have the original, and I would say, obviously Phelps knows the percentage of like how much smaller this one is. But man, does it fit in the pack really well? It's not tall up above my pack. The neoprene, like little nylon stuff here, is nice. It doesn't really make a noise, like when it hits, and it's a little bit louder.
Dude,
And There's like
It does a good
nice.
glunk sound. You know, that's a super good glunk sound. You're able to tap that sucker. Like I was just sitting there one time and I hit it on something. I was like, wait a minute. We started getting desperate. I mean, we were going for glunk and everything. We're like, let's do it. Let's just go all out. We did it for like 20 minutes, man. All of a sudden there's a bugle over there. We're like, okay, head that way. I mean, we had to go towards the end. We were pulling out all the stops. And I was like, I'm just going to try this. But it did make good sounds in the woods. So everything works on it well. I do love the neoprene cover, how it's sewed on. It makes things really quiet because you bump it on your bow or whatever. I really didn't have to consider that as much.
I didn't have to consider that at all. And then on the older one, it will clank on things. This one, it was awesome.
I was able to carry mine. Don't do that. Like this, and just slip it around upside down. And then when I was going to call, I could just bring it around like this.
That's what I was
It
doing.
moved nice and easy.
The only time that I didn't have it like that is when I was biking in. So when I was biking in, it was actually like in my like little side pocket in the backpack. But once I got in there, slung over exactly like that.
Yeah, I had mine
nice.
in my backpack as well. But after a while, Luke got sick of me asking him to get it for me because my arms don't go like that. And I was like, eventually I had to I figured out if I grab the bottom of the backpack, I can kind of bump it out, and then I had to catch it real quick, you know. So eventually I just kept it on here. I was like, yeah, whatever. I got so much junk on me already. I might as well have this right hanging here. But it did fit really nice, perfectly. I think it was designed for that almost. It seemed like it was designed.
Phillips has done a really good job with not being complacent. You know, he's always innovating. The whole team there is always trying to make things better than how they built it before. And, you know, with the innovation and everything on all their calls, they go above and beyond. And I really like partnering with Phillips because of that. They're always moving forward. It's awesome. It's cool to be a part of something like that.
Well, me too. All right, ladies and gentlemen. With that, I think we're going to call it an evening. Check us out on YouTube.
We have a couple things left though.
Checklist?
Nope. Crazy Elk Company. We have a discount.
Oh, we got a discount code for Crazy Elk Company.
Yes, that's right. Ridgeline 20.
20?
Yep, we've had it.
20% off?
20% off.
So
get your tag wallet. Get some t-shirts.
CrazyElkCompany.com.
Yep.
And in your checkout, use Ridgeline 20.
That's right.
For 20% off. And those tag wallets aren't only good for tags. I had it strapped to my bow. I kept my reeds in there.
Yeah, I guess if you don't have a reed carrier, that would work because they have zip ties, the reusable zip ties, so you can strap it onto whatever you want.
Yep, and it just has that little zipper, and you just put your stuff in there. It's easy. I was like, dang, that's nice. Also kept.
That's funny.
Yeah, I was like, dang,
nice.
man. I was like, fits right there. Shit, you know. It's like perfect. I got my new stuff's in there, and it's thin. It's breathable. So that was nice. You know, I like the multi-purpose. And then if I did tag out, I would just take my reeds out of there.
Yeah.
But if they're not, you're usually carrying your bow, you know. And how many times are you like trying to find a damn reed, you know? If they're just in that little orange pouch. It was easy. I was like, oh, that's great, perfect.
Multi-purpose, not just for tags.
Oh, I just zip tied right on there. Yeah, it was cool. Yep. So also, check us out on YouTube.
Yeah, Ridgeline Hunting on YouTube. We have plenty of videos up there. All of our podcasts are up there. Yeah, check us out.
We got some cool new stuff we're going to upload here from our adventures this year and our elk season. We have literally had zero time. I mean, we have time coming up, but it's going to be awesome. Also, check us out on Instagram, Facebook. Where else? Podcast.
Anywhere you can listen to a podcast. We're pretty much on every platform. Yeah.
Awesome.
Doing the dang thing.
Well, we're back, babies.
That's right. All right, everybody. Have a good one.
Good night.